I took this builder grade cabinet from plain to custom. The first step was to measure the width of my cabinet door opening with the slides in place. Then I cut down the 1x8 to the width and depth that I needed for my cabinet. I put these together into a box shape using just some L brackets. It was really quick and easy to do. Once I had the box built, I ended up taking a piece of plywood and marking it, cutting it, and adding it to the bottom. This way I had a fully formed box. After that, I removed the cabinet door and got rid of the hinges and hardware that were there. I attached my drawer slides, making sure that they would be able to slide in and out of the cabinet door easily. Then I attached the other piece of the drawer slide to the box itself. The next step was to place the box onto the slides and make sure that everything was moving smoothly. Once that was all in place, I took more L brackets and added them to the box so that then I could attach the door. Once the door was added and secure, it was time to add the handle. I created some pilot holes and then added my handle at the top of the door. Now I could pull the cabinet open using this top handle, and I could add a trash can inside the bin that I had created. This way I took just a simple cabinet and I modified it so that it's now a pull-out trash bin. I love how easy and inexpensive it was to customize this cabinet and make it much more functional.
I've got an eyesore in the front of my house, and it's my garbage can. I've got an inexpensive idea, and it happens to use pallets. What I'm going to do is get them squared up, and I want to make sure that they're just wide enough for the garbage can to go in and out without rubbing. Once I get it squared up and the sides are holding up pretty good, the next step is I got to cut some railings actually. These can be made out of 2x3s or 2x4s. Once they get cut, I'm going to measure about 7.5 inches down from the top. This is going to give me some good markings that I need to put each one on each side of the pallets. It doesn't take a lot of screws because not a lot of weight's going to go on there. Then I'm going to grab my reciprocal saw and I'm going to cut the less desirable pallet that's going to go on top. So all it takes is 3 good cuts. Once I do got this cut, what I can do is I could sand it down a little bit to make it look nicer, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and just slide it right on top. Take some care with this because when I put it on top, then I'm going to secure it with some screws. Once I got that, I want to go ahead and trim out the opening. I grabbed some old fence pallets that I had that were redwood, and I'm going to go ahead and just brad nail these on the top. I am also going to put it on the side. Now, it doesn't take a lot of nails to hold this in place because it doesn't weigh very much. So, once I get this on, I am going to go ahead and do the same on the sides. That way it looks more like a little bit of a door frame or anything when I put it on. Once it's all put together, then I can slide my garbage can in. Now, I want to decorate it. There's many options you can do. You can put some vines on the top around the sides, hang some pictures or anything like that. But I think it turned out really nice. Gets rid of that eyesore of just having the garbage can out front. I hope this motivated you to build your own inexpensive trash can enclosure.
excited to show you how to trick out your trash can. First and foremost, we used our Fusion TSP alternative in step 1 to clean this trash can thoroughly. We're going to be using Fusion paint again in the color Casement. So we're going to take our Harlequin stencil. We're going to lightly pounce up and down, and we don't care if it comes out perfect, because that is not the whole point of the exercise, and it's not the look that I'm going for perfection. Notice how we're not having to reload 1,000 times our brush. So one dab of paint did an entire stencil. So now we're gonna repeat the pattern. We're just holding the stencil with our hand. We don't have any kind of adhesive on the back of it. I don't use adhesives. I find them to be a little bit more tricky than helpful. I like to have control of my stencil. Okay, and I will show you guys how easy it is to have control, and we will wrap around the side. You get really lucky on these because when you wrap around the side, all you gotta do is this one right here, and then it will be a flat straight away again. So we're just gonna do this one because nobody's gonna see the back. And we just gotta wrap around this corner. Then we're gonna turn ambidextrous and use our other hand. And we've got our Harlequin done. And on the next step here, we're gonna take all the points of our Harlequin and add this hot pink connector polka dot. But a trash can is typically something I throw, like someplace so that it's hidden. This one, we're gonna bling. Now that we've allowed our background Harlequin to dry and the hot pink polka dots that we put on, we are gonna play with some redesign with Prima transfers. So when you have your transfer and you take your backing off like I just did, do not touch the image or do not let the image touch anything until you know exactly where it's gonna go. You could easily lose it. So we've got these little sticks that Prima gives you. There's also fancy tools. It just all depends on what you want to use. And we got it off. Okay, so now I'm just gonna fold this piece up. I just wanna go over it. Then we're gonna use this large flower here. Gonna be super cool. So we just have to see how we actually want it to go. So we're gonna wanna overlap a little bit. We'll rub this side down. We're not doing this fast or anything. We're gently going around the corner. Now, if you notice, I had made a little boo-boo over here. Transfers are great for if you make a mistake. So do not give up just because you made a mistake, because even those of us who have been doing this 15, 20 years make mistakes, guys. Just stay patient. And you've got a perfect transfer. No crinkles, no bubble. Then we can take our piece that we used on the waxy, shiny side and do the same thing yet again. We're working on our finishing touches, so we want to get a little bit of redesign with Prima on the top as well. My name's Dustin Van Fleet of Dustin Van Fleet Design, and I hope you guys have loved coming along for the ride of this tricked out trash can as much as I've enjoyed making it. I'll catch you guys On the flip side.
Take a plastic bin container that has a lid as well as a handle opening on each end of the bin. Place your trash bag rolls into the container. The best part, pull the end of the trash bag from one of the rolls through the handle opening in the bin. Now store this bin under your kitchen sink for handy and tidy access to your kitchen trash bags. Do your phone charger cords go wild and never stay in place? Try this. Take a small, clear command hook, place the included sticky paper onto the back, and press it onto the side of your nightstand. Slide your charger cord into the hook and keep the phone cord in place when you're not charging your phone. Do you have kitchen or garden items that have rust on them? Mix 1 part lemon juice to 2 parts baking soda and stir to create a paste. Rub this paste onto the rusted area and let it sit for at least 30 minutes. Rinse off the paste with water and gently scrub the rust off with a sponge. No more rust on these plant stakes. Take 1 cup of water and combine it in a glass jar with 1 cup of vinegar and 1/2 cup of rubbing alcohol. Stuff the jar with small cloths and seal the jar tightly. Give the jar a good shake to mix together the liquids and the cloths. Keep this jar handy in your kitchen or bathroom for quick and easy cleanups. Try this new way of folding your jeans. Fold the seat of the jeans over. Then fold each jean leg up a third and then another third. Tuck each folded leg into the seat of the jeans and finally fold the jean seat in half. Your jeans are now neatly folded into a small square that can be stored vertically in any drawer, shelf, or basket.
Grab some inexpensive tension rods. Take 2 tension rods and install them horizontally in your closet. The front rod should be placed about a 1/2 inch lower than the back rod. This will give your shoes a slight angle forward without them falling off. You can organize boots as well. Place the tension rods vertically to keep boots upright and organized. Is the space under your kitchen sink a jumble of cleaning bottles? Clear out the space and install 1 larger sized tension rod horizontally and in front of any sink pipes. Hang all of your cleaning spray bottles from the rod. In any kitchen cupboard, install a series of 2 tension rods vertically.
Take plastic frames purchased from Dollar Tree and remove the paper inserts and the plastic wrap. Take the frames and lay them face up in rows next to each other in a drawer. Place spices on top of them. Take 2 wire cabinet shelves and 2 plastic bins. Bend the legs of the shelves towards the center. Place storage container lids in the grooves. Now you have the perfect plastic storage container organization. Take 2 wire shower caddies and weave them together. Use zip ties, cut the zip tie tails. Now you have the perfect storage for cooking pans, baking sheets.
Are you tired of those overcrowded cabinets? Grab you 2 cake pans and a bag of marbles. Take one of those other cake pans, put it on top, and look at it spin. It's perfect for organizing.
Stop your tablecloths from blowing away. Grab some clothespins and clip the clothespins onto the tablecloth to hold the tablecloth into place. Grab some shower caps and you can use these to cover the top of your food to store it. You can also use these to put around your shoes. This will keep your shoes together, keep the dirt out of your tent and car. Grab a cake carrier, open it up, and place your plates and your silverware, napkins, and more into your cake holder. This will now help you transport any of your paper products when you're camping and keep them all together. Grab some condiment bottles from your local store. I'm grabbing a pancake mix and placing the batter into the squeeze bottle. When it's time to use it, I'll simply squirt the batter into the pan and cook up the pancake. Grab a foil pan from the store. You'll also need some charcoal and you'll need a cookie rack. Place the charcoal into the foil pan and then place the cookie rack on top, and you've made a portable grill. Grab some lint from your dryer, stuff it into the toilet paper tube, and give it a few squirts of hand sanitizer. Place this onto your grill and light it, and you can easily get your grill going. Now you can use your grill with ease.
How about underneath the kitchen sink? There is nothing worse than trying to get a bag to reline the trash can. What a mess. Grab a curtain rod, grab the garbage bag, mark it, cut it right there at the mark. Put the ends back on to keep it safe, put the brackets on, and look at that. It goes right on your cabinet door.
Grab some shaving cream from the dollar store. Sometimes odors sneak out from the bottom of our toilets. Take the shaving cream and spray it all along the crease of your toilet. With your rubber glove, spread it on so it covers and seals that whole opening. Let it set for approximately 10 minutes. You've now eliminated odors that were hiding underneath of your toilet between the seal and the toilet tank. Head on over to Dollar Tree and grab one of these oversized bins for these awesome grill hacks. Grab a fitted sheet and slide it right on over the top. It's a wonderful tablecloth. Pour some water into a tall pitcher. You've now created a hand washing station. Place your ketchup, mustard, whatever you like inside the muffin dish and use this to serve them. Once you're done grilling that yummy, delicious food, clean your grill with an onion. Simply slice it in half and rub it back and forth. Grab an oversized tub from the dollar store, fill it with ice, and place a bunch of your drinks in it. This will help the drink stay nice and cool. Stop bugs from getting into your drinks by pouring the drink in the cup and then placing muffin lighters over the top of the cups.
Grab a coordinating kitchen towel and pot holder. Fold the towel and lay it out flat and place the pot holder right in the center. Pin or clip it in place. Then head over to the sewing machine and sew it straight down the middle. Now grab a button and sew that onto the pot holder. Sew on a piece of elastic, creating 2 loops. Flip the pot holder over and use some fabric glue to attach a long piece of ribbon. Slide your toothbrush and toothpaste into the elastic, fold it in half, and tie the pouch together with a ribbon. Grab a pot holder and some quick dry fabric glue, fold it in half and glue it on just 2 of the sides. Hold it in place until the glue is completely dry. This will slip right over the handle of the pan and you can pick it up and protect your hands.
I simply filled up a sandwich bag full of water and a handful of pennies inside. I sealed it up and then I hung it outside. The light hits the bag full of shiny, pretty pennies. It refracts and confuses the flies and insects. Overwhelmed, they will fly away and find somewhere else to hang out.
Pick up a big cereal container with a flip top lid, put a plastic bag inside, and you have a portable trash can for your car. Grab a cupcake liner, cut a slit in the bottom, and slip it over the bottom of a popsicle. This is going to catch any drips. Grab a caddy like this from Dollar Tree, fill it up with your kids' favorite snacks, and put it in the back seat. Has a place to keep everything so it doesn't get all over your car, and it's really easy for kids to grab a snack. Create busy bags for a road trip. Grab these inexpensive pencil pouches and fill them up with different activities. You can curate this for whatever age your kids are. Pop each pencil pouch into a Dollar Tree binder, and you can take this wherever you go. Do you have card games laying around? Gather up the cards and stick them in a travel soap container. This is going to store each game nice and neatly, and you can take it on the go or put it in your game closet.
Grab a towel bar and a hanging shoe rack from Dollar Tree. Put it on the seat in your car for easy access to road trip essentials.
Print out your label list on plain, ordinary white paper. Cut the words apart, leaving a little bit of white space surrounding the text. Now, take some clear packing tape and lay pieces of tape over each word. It helps if you put a coin on the end of the tape so you can lift it easily later on. With the edge of a debit or credit card, press against the taped word and rub vigorously across the top of the tape. Trim off any excess tape with scissors, then simply drop it in a bowl of water. Make sure it is completely submerged and let it soak for a couple of minutes. Once it has soaked for a bit, lift it from the water and start to rub across the back of the word with your fingers. The paper pulp will eventually come off from the tape, but the text will still be there.
Don't throw that old yoga mat away. Do this instead. Cut a larger piece of yoga mat and place it on your floor. Use it as a mat for your pet. Grab a little yoga mat scrap and cut it. Fold it in half and hot glue the entire thing closed. Make a hole on one end of this little piece. put a keychain through that hole. This little piece will help your keys float when in water. Cut a piece of yoga mat and wrap it around a travel mug to know what size you need. Place 2 Velcro dots on either end so that it will wrap around your travel mug and close. This will protect your hands from the heat. Grab a keyboard, measure the length and width that you need, cut that piece out, and then hot glue the entire piece closed. Place it on the edge of your keyboard on your desk and you have a wrist rest. Grab your tablet, place it on the end of a yoga mat. Flip it over so you know exactly how long you need that piece to be, and then cut that piece out. Fold the piece in half so that the fold is on one side and glue the sides on either side of the fold. There will still be an opening at the top, and this is where you can slide your tablet in and out of the case. Now you have a carrying case.
Let's start with that mess of plastic bags. Lay it out flat, fold it in half, then in half again. Fold it up into triangles. I'm going to take the handles and tuck them into the little pocket of the triangle. To fold a larger reusable bag, lay it out flat and fold it into thirds. Fold the bottom up, tuck the handles in. Lay out your kitchen towel, fold it in half again. Fold it into thirds, right into the pocket you created. Fold a bag of chips, bringing each corner together on a diagonal. Flip the bag around and fold it down 3 or 4 times. Fold over the corners. It's not gonna leak. Start by tucking in the 2 side pieces. Squeeze the sides together and tuck that final piece, making it line up really nicely in your pantry.
I grabbed a plastic bouncy ball and 1 yard of fabric from my local Walmart and decided to create some really cool yard decor. We're going to unravel the fabric. So we're going to just make sure that we can completely cover it with the fabric, and we can cut it about there. Now we can cut off our fabric. We can save this excess for another project, and we're going to be using a sharp pair of scissors from nixseasonaldecor.com. We then can place the ball directly in the middle and start gathering. So it doesn't have to be perfect right off the bat, but we do want to make sure that we cinch this nice and evenly so that it looks pretty and you're still able to identify that it's a ball. At this point in time, it looks a little sloppy. So what I recommend doing is just teasing it, pulling all of that fabric tightly against the ball towards the surface, gathering it as you go. But another easier hack that I've learned over the years of creating these is to take your zip tie, secure it like that, and then you can start pulling it through. So it does take a little bit of time, but for the effect, it's totally worth it. Snip off the excess zip tie, and then remove the excess fabric. We do want to leave about 1/2 inch or so, about this much, because that is where we're going to insert our stems from our flowers. Now we have these really pretty flower bouquets, and these have orange in them and all different shades, and I think it matches the fabric beautifully. We're going to take our clippers and just snip off each stem individually. Now what we can start doing is adding hot glue to our stems and sticking them right into the fabric. So the fabric does a great job of holding this, and if you're ever concerned about this, I've had one since 2017 and it still looks beautiful. The only thing that happens over time is the ball does become a little bit deflated, but I know exactly where the hole is up top, so if I ever need to reinflate this, I can just use the air compressor, reinflate the ball as needed, and everything else holds up just great. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking a few longer pieces and having them kind of drape on top of the ball. And I really love that because it looks like the flowers are incorporated throughout the fabric and it doesn't just look like a big floral display right on top. And to make designing easier, we're going to take one of the containers that we have and just place the ball right into it. And now we easily can start to insert our stems without having to balance the ball on the table. And we'll just continue filling in. So as I said before, the fabric does a great job of keeping everything in place. And one of the most difficult things to remove hot glue from is fabric itself. So it's actually preferred to use the fabric over, let's say, like a styrofoam or anything like that, because it won't hold up nearly as long. The cool thing about designing these is you can do them for any season, any holiday, any color combination. You can have these hanging inside, you can have them hanging outside. I've done so many different versions over the years along with Hometalk, and it's been really fun to see all the different styles you're able to create. So have fun with it and choose the products to your liking. Now that we've worked in all of our flowers, it's time to come back in with a little bit of moss. So I have some of this moss here, and it's a chartreuse color, and I really love that contrast with everything that we already have going on. So I'm going to take a little bit of moss, add a little bit of hot glue, and this is more of a spongy textured moss, so it's not going to break apart like other types of moss will. We're going to take it, and I'm simply just going to poke it right in and cover up any of the fabric that's still showing with the hot glue. I picked up some of these miniature monarch butterflies from the warehouse, and we're going to work these in. I think these are going to be the perfect touch. Each one of them comes with a little wire. I added some hot glue to the end, and all we're going to do is just poke them right in. I'll stick one sticking out the middle like that. And they really can go every which way. You can also hot glue them directly to the flowers. Wherever you decide to add a butterfly will be the perfect touch. And we'll have one fluttering away from the ball. And we'll stick one more flying downwards. To hang this, I'm going to use a piece of this brown wire. And we're just going to cut a length off. I'm going to hang this outside. Feel free to cut it however long you need to secure it to whatever you're securing it to. You can hang this from a light pole. You can hang this from a shepherd's hook, a tree outside. And that centrally focused flower that we added a lot of hot glue to, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that wire and twist it tight, secured to that flower. And that will support the weight of the ball. Make sure that you added enough hot glue to ensure that this is not falling off. And then we can take the end of this wire and tie it to whatever device we want to hang it from. And here's how it turned out, you guys. I absolutely love it, and it was so economical and easy to create. Less than $15 to make this, and some of the items you might have on hand. Thanks so much for watching. I absolutely love the way it looks hanging from my light on my house, and it's extremely lightweight, so it's not going to pull the light down. I'm Nick Kretikos of Nick's Seasonal Decor, and you're watching me on Hometalk. See you in the next episode.
I'm at Dollar Tree grabbing some floral foam for this next project.
The first thing I've done for this project is I've gone to the Home Depot and picked up a couple of 8-foot pieces of trim. And this trim is flat on the back. I have my cubes of floral foam that this is, it's more like styrofoam. They're calling it floral foam at Dollar Tree. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these up. And I am going to cut these in half, and let me show you how. I'm trying to figure out if I can even cut them in thirds. I think I'm going to cut these in thirds. So I'm going to cut it right here and right here because I only need some thin pieces of this. When you're working with styrofoam and hot glue, you always need to use a low temp glue gun. I want to save my flat side, my really smooth side, for attaching it to my door frame. So I'm going to take my other side of this trim, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a generous amount of the low temp glue on, like so, and then I'm going to stick these pieces of foam on. And you can go several inches, maybe 6 inches between each one, and I'm going to attach it all the way up. I'm going to attach mine to these shutters right next to my door so I don't have to use a hammer and nails, although you can use that to attach them to the trim right around your door, like right there. So I've added a pipe cleaner through my shutters, and then I've added one to the top of my board, and I'm going to attach those together, and then I will do some more down my shutter to secure it. And all we do is use that pipe cleaner that's attached to the wooden post and my shutter to attach them. And right here you can see where I have fed my pipe cleaners through my shutters. And the same thing, I'm just going to take it and wrap it right around nice and tight. And don't worry about that styrofoam. We're going to cover that up, and then I'm going to cut those off. So now I have my garland beside my door, and I did a piece hanging across the top, and the only thing left now is to add butterflies. So if you like butterflies, you are going to love this. I have these beautiful butterflies that we opened up before, and they come on wires. They're made to add to your garden. So I am just going to stick those in the styrofoam, and then I'm going to turn them a little bit. So I want you to be able to see them from the front. So I'm going to bend my wire just a little bit there so that they are like that. And some of them I'm going to cut the wire so it's short so I can stick them right into the styrofoam. And the green wires these are on make them impossible to see that they are flying from wires and not flying all around our pretty greenery around our front door. sticking your wires in and out at different depths, it gives the idea that the butterflies are flitting around your greenery. And here is my finished spring door, all full of butterflies. So you see how you can make those to surround your front door very easily. Add as many or as few butterflies as you would like. And I added this pretty butterfly wreath out of boxwood with butterflies to coordinate with it. So I hope you like this project and it inspires you to take it on for your front door this spring.
I came across these 2 disheveled lampshades and I ripped off all the outside parts of the lampshade, the fabric and the trim. I took the 2 lampshades and I stacked them on top of each other. And then to secure them, I used some just little white zip ties. And then I used some scissors and just cut off the excess of the zip tie. Next, I took this rub and buff in the shade European Gold and using just a paint cloth, I just rubbed it on. Then I came in with some twine and I tied it around the bottom, and then working the twine up and around, I went around the outside of the lampshade several times, making sure to bring the twine back through so that I didn't have that extra piece of twine in the middle. I went around several times until I got the desired thickness that I wanted for my twine and tied it back off again at the bottom. Then I fanned out the twine, and then I repeated this process intermittently around the lampshade.
I completely transformed this thrifted lampshade into the most beautiful home decor. I removed the shade so it was just the wire frame. I used a utility knife to scrape off the glue. Then I sanded the wire frame with sandpaper and steel wool. I wiped clean and then spray painted it matte black. While it was drying, I sanded a wood round, wiped it clean, and sealed it with gloss spray Varathane. I applied 5 coats and then sprayed the last coat with satin Varathane. I pre-drilled and screwed the wire frame and wood round together.
First, you need to wet your lampshade thoroughly with some water. We mixed together 2 cups of water, 4 drops of dishwashing soap, and 4 cups of cement. I then painted this mixture on the wet lampshade and let it dry completely. Now it's time to make a cement base for the pot. After letting the cement fully dry and cure, we then used a drill to drill in the drainage hole. I added some potting soil.
Next time you're at the thrift store, pick yourself up a couple of lampshades. To begin my project, I just took apart the lampshade, so I just began with some scissors, cutting apart the fabric and ripping it off. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this little knob back on. Then I'm going to go ahead here with a hot glue gun, just going to attach this faux moss onto the wired parts. I came in with these solar fairy lights and wrapped them all around my lampshade.
You know all those lonely donated lampshades? Pick up a matching pair. Pick up a thrifted belt. Run a bead of clear glue around the perimeter. Take the other lampshade, place it on top of the other lampshade, take some jute twine and tie the inner hardware of the 2 lamps together. Give the connected shades a little shake to make sure they are securely connected. Take the belt and buckle it around the skinny center of the 2 lampshades. Add a little glue to the loose end of the belt and secure it to the rest of the belt. Find a thin wood circle disc. Paint the edge with some acrylic paint. And peel and stick wallpaper is perfect for this project.
You'll never believe what you can make from an old lamp and a glass shade from the thrift store. It's time to paint the lamp now. Is cover it with a coat of water-based clear coat. I want to attach it to the lamp base, so I'm going to use some contact cement to do that. It's time to pop it onto the rest of the lamp base. I want to fill the glass shade now completely with soil. My new planter is ready for some plants. To start this project, I want to remove everything but the main section of this lamp. I'm going to add the glue to each of the joints and then leave it all to dry. I found these signs at the dollar store. I'm going to add a thinner wood round. A little wood glue will hold this into place perfectly. I'm going to find the middle and use the top of the lamp to trace a little circle. I'm ready to paint. I'm going to use the white chalky paint to cover both the base of the lamp and the wood. I want to attach the wood top to the lamp. The circle that I drew before is going to help me so that the lamp is correctly centered. Add some glue and then I can join them together and it'll be nice and solid. I found this lamp not too long ago at the thrift store. Before applying the paint, I'm going to give the base a quick sanding with some gritty sandpaper. I'm going to apply a decoupage medium to the area I want to work with first. Now to start applying the decoupage paper. I want to dampen the paper with a wet paper towel. With everything done and dry, the last thing I want to do is cover up all those little paper bits on the underside of the lamp.
I'm going to rip down all the fabric off of my lampshade. So I'm going to take it outside and give it a quick spray paint. And then after that, I decided I needed to spray paint one more thing, and that was a mason jar sealing part of the lid that I'm going to use later on. I'm going to take this wood slice. I'm going to give this a good coat of sealer. I'm also going to do like the live edges. And once that's all sealed, it's going to be time to grab that mason jar lid and drill a tiny hole in the middle. And now it's time to assemble. I have some E6000 industrial glue that I'm putting in a little hole where like a finial for a lamp would go. And that's where I'm going to kind of adhere that mason jar sealer. I'm going to put some more E6000 glue along the rim here. So I'll go ahead and set that down. Got it in place, and now it's time to drill. It's all good. Gonna flip it up.
Grab some hot glue and put a bead of glue along one side of your lampshade, and then add some twine or jute. And we're going to wrap that around the lampshade until we cover the entire thing. After you have all your tassels made, we are going to add these to the bottom of our lampshade. And I decided to hot glue these. You could use a needle and thread and tie them and sew them on the edge, but this worked out perfect. You are going to simply trim off the excess tails.
Set an edge of your lampshade against one edge of the wallpaper. Measure in 1/2 inch to 1 inch and mark it by running a pencil where the shade meets the paper. Spray the outside of the lampshade with spray adhesive. Roll the lampshade onto the wallpaper, pressing and smoothing as you go. Apply double-sided tape to the inside lip of the top and bottom of the lampshade. Wrap the overage border of the wallpaper over the edge of the shade and press onto the double-stick tape. Take some more tape and apply it to the top and bottom of the lampshade. Take some ribbon in a coordinating color and press half of the width onto the double stick tape and secure on the inside of the shade. Do this for the top and bottom of the shade. Continue the lamp makeover by spray painting the base of your lamp.
Picked up this thrifted lampshade that I got at my local thrift store. These embellishments that I found at my local fabric store. I began placing my lace appliques over the lampshade. I'm next going to bring in some spray adhesive, and I'm just going to spray the back of the lace applique, and then I'm going to lay it in place on my lampshade. Once my pieces were fully placed on, I came in with this So Soft fabric paint. Just went very lightly over some of the edge detailing.
So to get started, I am going to take apart the lamp, and I'm just going to put some alcohol on the paper towel and wipe down my lamp base. I'm just giving a little light base coat to this. And then I have some all-in-one pre-mixed stucco patch. And I'm just using an old chip brush, and I'm just going to coat the entire thing. While that's drying, I'm going to take that really kind of dingy old looking lampshade. I'm using some white chalk paint. That's water that you saw me mist on there, and it just makes the paint kind of flow and cover nicely. I'm going to let that dry. Then I'm actually going to do a second coat. I have a medium gray paint here, and I've also added a little water to it. I'm just going to take a regular paintbrush. So I'm just going to work on getting this whole lamp base covered in this. While that gray is still wet, I'm grabbing some mud by Dixie Belle. I put a glove on to put this part on. It's a lot like spackle. Let that dry for about an hour, and then grab a sanding block and get that all sanded smooth down. And then for even more dimension, I have white chalk paint and then a lighter gray little sea sponge here that I'm just getting kind of damp. And I've also misted my paint plate. Now I'm just going to kind of dab around and keep working on this faux finish. And then after I do all that, now I have black and brown paint. Okay, so I'm watering down that paint a little bit, and a push pin. I'm using the tip, the little pin, to add some little dot. Lastly, just to seal in all this, I used a matte clear spray.
You won't believe what I do with this rhubarb. First, I made a small pile of dirt and placed a garbage bag on top of it. I grabbed a fresh rhubarb leaf and placed it with the vein sides up on top of the garbage bag. Next, I mixed a bag of ready mixed concrete as per the directions on the box. You want it to be a peanut butter-like consistency, and then you know it's ready to use. I brushed canola oil onto the rhubarb leaf and then placed concrete on top. I used a trowel to move the concrete mixture all over the leaf so the concrete was about 1 inch thick. Then I cut up some wire mesh and I placed it on top. This adds strength to the concrete once it's dry. I added about another 3/4 of an inch of concrete on top. I used a piece of scrap wood to tamper it down and it smoothed it all out with a trowel. This is also a great time to add initials if you wish. And then I lifted the edge of the garbage bag and moved the dirt all around the edges to create a form. I let them dry for 12 hours and then flipped it over and let it dry in the sun with the rhubarb leaf up. I've tried many different ways to remove the leaves, but I have found the best is just letting the sun dry it out on its own. I carefully place them below my gutter so that the rainwater will now flow down the rhubarb leaves. Isn't this the most beautiful downspout you've ever seen? I hope this inspires you to get creative with concrete rhubarb leaves. You're not going to believe what I do with this vegetable oil. I added ready mix, concrete mix, peat moss, perlite, and water together and mixed well to create a thick concrete mixture. If you roll it into a ball, it should stick together and then you know it's ready. Next, I oiled the inside of a 20-liter bucket using the vegetable oil, and I carefully packed the concrete into the bucket on the bottom and then worked my way up the sides. I went up about 8 inches and it was about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thickness. After it dried for 24 hours, I flipped the bucket upside down to take it out, and I used a small wire brush with water to smooth around the top edge and remove any loose dirt and dust around the sides and bottom. Then I used a sponge to apply brown, antique white, and gray acrylic paint around the outside, top, and inside edge of the concrete and blended with a bit of water. Once it dried, I added a tropical plant, and now I have a modern pot that looks like a limestone planter for a fraction of the price.
Who doesn't have a dozen cardboard boxes piling up in their recycle bin? I decided it was time to put mine to use. I started with my largest box. Using my slice box opener, I started by removing all 4 flaps of the box. Once all the flaps were removed, it was time to make a mini box. I secured the long sides with duct tape and began assembling the smaller box. Using duct tape to secure all 4 sides and bottom together, I placed it inside and got started mixing concrete. I also tried adding 2 wooden dowels to later drill out for drainage holes. If you are recreating this project, be sure to line your box with packing tape for easy removal. After waiting 48 hours, just to be safe, I removed the cardboard to reveal my large planter box. After drilling out the dowel holes in the bottom and giving my entire planter a sand to remove any jagged edges, they look so similar to other versions I've seen at high-end stores, but mine only cost me $5 in mortar and cardboard I was going to throw away.
Time to run down to your local baker and grab a big old container of cookies. But even though those cookies are yummy, what we want is that decorative lid. We're going to measure it straight across and get about 10 inches. Lay out some cardboard and we're going to pick a bowl that's round for us to mark. Just go ahead and lay it on the cardboard and take a marking pen and get you that perfect circle. Now it's time to mix up our cement. Once we get it mixed, carefully lay it inside the bucket. You can see the consistency here is like some really good pudding. Now, once you get the right amount in, you're going to go ahead and just shake it all up. Cut some strips of wood. This one is going to be full 10 inches across, and the other ones are going to be 4 each. And then glue up the ends, lay it out, and fold it in. We want to make sure that all the pieces of the wood fit inside the circle. Take some popsicle sticks and some hot glue. You're going to lay this across the top. This is going to be our clamp that is going to hold the pieces together while that wood glue dries. Flip it over. We're going to do the other side also. Once you get these pieces on, it's so strong, it's time to go ahead and drill them because we want to put these caster legs on there. All we need to do is take some hot glue, put it in, and all 4 wheels go right in there. Now it's time to take those wood and the wheels, and we're going to just shake it back and forth to let it sink right into the concrete. Let it dry for about 24 hours. Go ahead and turn it back over after that 24 hours is up. We're going to use a knife, and we're going to start cutting away the plastic. We need to get some air in there. That's what's going to release our mold from the concrete. Look at that smooth, beautiful concrete. Now it's time to go ahead and take it outside, and we've got the perfect base for a rolling planter, and it looks great. I'm going to grab me some solar lights. Next, head over to the hardware store. I'm going to grab me about 100 feet of nylon rope. First thing I got to do is blow up this dollar beach ball. Then I got to get out some Portland cement. Make sure it's not concrete, but cement. You want it actually really thin because we need to coat that rope. Now, on that beach ball, just start laying that rope. You're just going to start roping it all the way around. Once you get to the end, what you're going to do is tuck that last bit in underneath the rope. It's going to hold it in place. Then what we can do is move on to possibly adding a little bit more cement. Make sure you cover all that rope. We want it to stiffen up as best we can. Let it sit for a couple hours once we get it covered. Once it's covered, take a knife and just puncture the beach ball. Once we get it all the air out, just go ahead and pull it through one of the bigger openings between the ropes. Now, I want to clean it up. Took a little bit of a plastic fork and just clean up the edges. Don't want anything flaking off. Take a squirt bottle and start squirting all the string, and you're just going to powder it with the cement. Just keep doing that all over. What this does is make it thicker and strengthen it up. We're going to grab that dollar light again. Take out the bottom part. You're going to turn it around, put it in, and that's what's going to stick into the ground. Go ahead and put it right into the ground, right in the area you want to put it. And then you're going to take your string orb and you're going to put it right over the light, right in the middle, and lay it on down. Once it's in place, it just looks really good, just sitting there. It's waterproof because it's on the nylon rope and it's made out of cement. But once night comes, look at it light up. It is amazing to see from your yard and from the street.
Here's a charming outdoor hack using air dry clay and a tin can from your recycling bin. I'm stringing up a metal washer and a metal shoehorn to see how they sound when they hit each other. I like it, so now I have a direction. I'm punching a hole into the top of the closed end of an empty tin can using a hammer and nail. Next, I'm stringing 2 long strings through the hole and pulling it through so the can sits about in the middle. Now I'm threading and knotting a bolt to the other side of the string, then pulling it towards the top of the can, ending in a double knot on the outside so the string stays put. Now I'm knotting both strings as one. To thicken up the top hanging string, I'm grabbing 1 string in each hand, then twisting the strings to the right while twisting the 2 strings around each other to the left. This creates a decorative rope effect. Turning the can open side down, I'm holding the hanging string straight up, then adding some air dry clay to the top of the can to create a mound around the string. Once the string is positioned in the center, I'm continuing to add more clay until the entire top resembles a dome. Now I'm applying clay to the sides of the can until it's completely covered, not worrying about how rough it looks quite yet. I'm adding more clay to the top until the dome shape matches up with the sides of the can, then smoothing all the clay out with water for a super smooth transition. I found it helpful to place the can on top of a spice jar so the clay doesn't sit directly on the table. Now I'm shaping some clay into 2 triangle-shaped ears. I'm adding some texture and water before joining the ears to the rest of the body so they will stick together better. Next up, I'm molding some 3D cat face features such as cheeks and a nose. I found it easier to create them on a flat surface first before adding them to the body. The puffy cheeks are being attached first, then the nose, both being smoothed out with water for a flawless join. Next, 2 front legs are being created by rolling a tube of clay, then cutting paws into one end and flattening them into a standing position by pressing the paws against the table. For added whimsy, I am molding the shape of a little bird, then attaching it to the top of the cat's head. Some floral wire is being pushed into the cheeks to create whisker holes, making sure I push in the final direction I want the whiskers to sit. If you get some cracking in the clay as it dries, it's super easy to repair. Simply add more clay, ending with water for a smooth transition. Now I'm sketching out how I want to paint my little cat. I'm drawing out the basic shape, then adding painted details with colors in mind. Inspiration is easy to find if you do a Google search. I'm going for a calico look, so perfection isn't required. Anything goes. I'm now pouring 3 tones of paint onto a scrap of wood to create a paint palette so they are all within easy reach. My chosen colors are soft white, black, and terracotta. I found it easier to paint the entire body a lighter base color first, then add the darker tones on top, since dark colors have better coverage. Now I'm painting all the details in. The outlines are being painted first while the brush is fully loaded, then the inside second. This ensures all your outside lines are super smooth as opposed to creating a dry, jagged look. I'm using a larger brush to paint the larger areas with somewhat of a crosshatch pattern for a little more added texture. However, whenever painting the outlines, I make sure the brush has loads of paint on it, then slow right down to ensure the outlines remain super smooth. This gives your painting a more pro look. To make painting easier, you can also try holding the project in your hands, slipping a hand inside the can, and use your pinky finger in a dry area to better stabilize your hand when painting finer details. Before painting the tail, I'm bending a piece of floral wire on each end so I'll be able to hang the tail while it dries. The tail is getting coated in the base tone, then black and rust details are added on top. Next up, I'm cutting floral wire into tiny smooth pieces to create whiskers, then inserting them into the cheek holes. I found it easier to remove the whiskers to shape them first before inserting so you don't crack the clay. The little bird is getting painted a vibrant, bright aqua blue to contrast nicely against the cat. I'm adding speckles to the bird's back with the tip of a pencil dipped in black paint. And now it's time to rework the chimes. I'm pulling out the strings from inside the can so I can hang up the chimes. I tied the shoehorn and the big washer together first, ensuring they would touch each other when hung up by the middle of the string, then added more washers to create more sounds. And the final result is a whimsical cat wind chime that is cute, colorful, and sounds like a dream when a gust of wind hits. And you can choose to create any animal or pet of choice, with custom colors to suit your own home. I hope this inspires you to pick up some air dry clay and a simple tin can to create a dreamy animal wind chime of your own. Thanks for watching Home Talk, and see you next time.
I grabbed a corrugated cardboard box and a tin can from my recycling for this elegant home decor. I cut the cardboard about 1/4 inch taller than the tin can. I wet a tea towel and pressed it onto the top of the cardboard to make it damp, not wet. This helped to loosen it so I could pull the top layer off and expose the corrugated part. Then I flipped it over and painted the top 1/2 inch and top edge antique white using acrylic paint. I flipped it back and painted the whole corrugated surface in antique white, and then I started blending with the other colors. I used a sponge to add black, gray, and I spray painted some silver for a metallic touch. I added more antique white on top and blended it all together using my paintbrush. Once dried, I wrapped it around the tin can, hot glued it together, and now I have a knockoff galvanized zinc vase, and you'd never know it came from the recycling bin.
We're starting with a toilet paper roll, and we are going to cut it down to about half this size. So I'm going to be taking an X-Acto blade. I essentially want to create like a flat piece, and I'm going to go around the inside. I want it to kind of fall here. And so I'm just going to continue to add glue around the surface. So I'm going to take a big heap of this and we're going to just start layering it on. So we're going to do essentially the same thing, but I'm going to start by over the exposed base of the toilet paper roll. So I let this dry for about 24 hours. I have a sanding block. All right, now that we've sanded this down, we're gonna wipe it off. Here is the finished product of this high-end modern donut vase dupe, and I really love how it turned out. So I'm gonna start this project with a empty marinara jar. I'm bringing out Mod Podge, and I'm taking food coloring and putting the food coloring into the Mod Podge. I'm essentially mixing it all together to turn it into kind of a murky brownish green color. I'm getting out a cookie sheet and some newspaper, pouring the mixture, the Mod Podge mixture, into the jar, and I'm spinning the jar to try and get as much coverage on the interior of the jar as I can. I'm going to set my jar upside down, allow it to kind of dry and kind of let the excess drain out. The jars sit for about an hour. We're going to take all of our bottles and we're going to make sure that they're top side up, and we're going to bake these at 225 for about 45 minutes to 65 minutes. And as you can see, each of them kind of has a different tint, so you can really play around with the colors when you're mixing up your Mod Podge. It's beginner friendly, faux vintage decor on a budget.
We're going to need 5 soda cans. Make sure they are rinsed out and dry on the inside. Now we're going to go and take a razor blade, go and cut the top of the can. You can go and take a pair of scissors and then go and cut off the top of this can. And then go and cut off the bottom. Now go and clean any of this residue that might be in any of the cans. Now we're going to go and cover all of these with just some sort of cloth, and we're just going to apply a small amount of heat to it to go and flatten it out just slightly. Now let's go and draw some leaves and cut them out. Let's go and mark it down the center with a metal tool that we have. Let's go and cut some floral wire. Now let's take our glue and then go and stick down the wire onto this piece. Now let's go and continue to glue down these pieces. Now you can go and spray paint it, and after that green base is done, I'm going over everything with a black that is very light. So after this side is dry, now onto the other side, use green spray paint first, a small amount of yellow, and then at the edges of every one of these, use a very light amount of black spray paint. And these look so cool after they've dried. Now I'm taking the larger leaves that I have, putting them at the top here, and I'm kind of just going down from there and continuing to go and attach all of these leaves. We're going to go and take the wire and twist it around. Now go and fill up your metal tin or your planter, take the wooden dowel, go and bury it into the dirt that you have here. Just go and space it slightly. Now this is what it looks like after it is done, and it honestly looks pretty real. You wouldn't even believe that this was made with aluminum cans.
I dug this alcohol bottle out of my recycling bin. I'm going to remove the label from the bottle, and I'm going to use some alcohol. I'm going to get rid of the sticky residue that's left over. This is just an old picture, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it down to fit in the exact same spot where the label was. Take some matte Mod Podge. I'm going to brush it onto the back side of the alcohol bottle. Just going to place my picture face down, and then I'm going to take a scraper and I'm going to smooth down the picture, removing any air bubbles. I let that set for a good 2 to 3 hours, and then I'm going to come in with some just plain white chalk paint, and I'm going to paint my entire back side. And then for the front side, I want to make sure I leave a little window here so we can see the picture in the back, and then continue painting around the entire bottle, leaving the window open. I let this chalk paint dry overnight. I'm going to go ahead with some transfers here from Dixie Belle, and I'm going to transfer some nice orchid designs here onto my bottle. I just placed a nice taper candle in the top for a nice candle holder. I just love this idea. There's so many possibilities. So I took these drinking bottles. I used some pages from a book that got wrecked, and I'm going to go ahead and Mod Podge them on. And then I'm going to paint around the picture. I'm going to cover in black wax just to tone down the white paint a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do some gold leafing just around the edges of the bottle, put my taper candles in, and I am in love with this project. I took this fleecy fabric softener plastic container, and then using an X-Acto knife, I just cut off the top portion. Next, I'm going to take some craft paper. I'm scrunching it up to create like a really rough texture, and then I'm going to tape it on where I need tape to hold in place, and just cut out my handle, and then wrapping that again in masking tape. When I'm done with this, I'm going to create my paper mache, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip the envelopes up into tiny little pieces. Then I'm going to add just a little bit of water before I turn on my blender. So I lay out the Mod Podge, and then I just grab a handful of the slurry and I just spread it around onto my plastic container. I let it set for a full day, and this is my finished vase here.
First, we're going to repurpose a 1-gallon glass pickle jar, and then we have some decorative nautical rope. I'm measuring out vertical strips. Now, once I get all of my strips cut, I'm going to start using my glue gun to attach them on the side of the jar. And all I'm doing is I'm evenly spacing these out, and then I'll go in the middle of those sections and put a piece of rope, and then I'll do that, continue on until all 8. And I'm just going to start somewhere and kind of glue in a few places as I'm wrapping around, and then I'll glue the other 2, and it ended up being a stack of 3 just to give it a finished look. It would look good staged and styled for many different seasons.
Run to the dollar store and go and grab a glass bottle. We are going to start off this craft with a cleaned out plastic bottle. So now we're going to line this up with the bottle. Go and draw a circle for where this is going to go and fit. Go and cut it out, put your glass into the hole. Now we're going to go and paint our bottle. Let it dry. Let's go and get these fake pearls and start to string them with some pipe cleaner, but leave one end unbended. We're going to go and poke some holes into our plastic bottle. Take the pipe cleaner, stick it in there, take the other pieces, go and stick them in as well, hot glue where it meets with the pipe cleaner and also the bottle. Got some fairy lights, and we're going to go and stick them into where we have the center hole. Now let's take this base here, stick it in place. I am using cotton for this. Now let's go and glue these down. Use your fingers to go and poof it out. Go and use a fork to really go and poof it out even more. This cloud lamp is sure to light up any room, is so much fun to go and make, and is upcycled.
Take an X-Acto knife and remove the lid flaps. Take hemp rope and a hot glue gun to begin wrapping the rope around the box. Take twine and begin gluing it to the perimeter of the bottom of the box. Take balsa wood oval or circle shapes and paint them with black paint. Print words to be displayed on the side of the box. Cut them out and use pencil to cover the back of the paper. Then trace the font on the balsa wood. Use a chalkboard pen or a white paint pen to cover the pencil traced font. Use a hot glue gun to attach the labels to the side of the box. There you have it, an inexpensive way to create your own pantry storage for your home for less than $10.